Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. After 2 weeks of madness and being away, which I will discuss in the video, I'm here to review Doctor Who Flux, Episode 3, Once Upon Time. This was crazy.
Yeah, that'll do it. I'll do it nicely. Ooh, jelly babies.
Okay, this is where the review starts, I suppose. I will tell you where I've been for the last 2 weeks towards the end of the video. So I'd rather get the review out of the way. So, to tell you honestly, I think this was a decent episode. I didn't think it was great. I think the first 2 parts were very, very good. I enjoyed the Sontarans. The Sontarans were superb. The first episode blew my mind. I thought the mental pace. I thought it was absolutely crazy. Then this one took the dial up a bit. This one was info non-stop, and this episode, even for me, and I've been a Whovian for over 30 years, it was a little too complicated even for me. It took me 3 or 4 watches. So God knows what it did to the newbies. I think the pacing was a little bit crazy. But the thing is, you could understand it because I think, due to who Chris Chibnall is and how long he takes to make things, and because he's been let go to bring in RTD for the 60th, I genuinely think whatever he was going to do, he crammed every single story element into this episode. We start off with Belle. Love Belle. I thought Belle was fantastic. The downside of meeting Belle was those CGI Daleks. What was going on there? I loved her character. I thought she was great. And that was the decent beginning where you explained the sort of after effects of the Flux, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. Now, to go to this next one, where the Doctor does like the millisecond thing. If you remember rightly, Missy described the 12th Doctor solving things in milliseconds to stop things in seconds, and I thought that was brilliantly done in this episode, where the Doctor grabs Dan and throws him into the time storm, and she took the breath of the time storm to save them in the timelines from Azure and Swarm. I've got to admit, seeing 13 Dan, Yaz and Vinda on CGI background on quite clearly a green screen, it was okay. It wasn't great. The CGI was really struggling in this episode, and you don't really notice it on a first watch, but you start to notice it after the 4th. But how can I put it? Vinda, who the Doctor hasn't really met yet, she sacrificed her life for him, and that is sort of what the Doctor does. And this bit I really did enjoy, even though the CGI was a little bit wonky. Okay, this next bit of the episode I'd like to talk about is Dark Coat 13. We didn't know whether it was going to be, Ruth turning up. We didn't know, who was the team. Personally, myself, I cottoned on straight away, and then when I looked online, so did channels like Tharies and Confused Adipose, saying that the team was obviously Vinda was it Lee? Yeah, then Carvinista is John Bishop's character of Dan, and Yaz is Gat. So it's the final mission for the Doctor back when she was working for the Division. But at this point, we didn't know it was going to be Ruth. And to be quite honestly, to see 13 with her back up, assured, with a direction, it was very, very good. I wasn't expecting it. I think the one thing Jodie's been missing is assuredness, and it's really worked for this episode. And to be quite honest with you, I thoroughly enjoyed the little battle plan. Because we don't see the Doctor really draw up a battle plan, because he tries to avoid battle, he tries to avoid bloodshed as much as he possibly can. But I thought this bit was genius. I thought this bit was really, really good to see a different aspect of the Doctor, of who she used to be. So yeah, I really did enjoy this bit. Now this next bit where we're going into the timelines, where you've obviously got Dark Coat 13 working for the Division. The next bit that popped up was Dan with Diane. I think it must have been his past. It's strange, isn't it? The Doctor gets the past, Dan gets the past, possible future, but Yaz gets the future. Very, very strange, but this bit was very, very cool. The way it was going from night to day, and then it was going back to night, and then we saw obviously a little bit of backstory, how John Bishop was jilted at the altar a couple of days beforehand, and it adds a little bit more context and more body to his character. I enjoyed that in this bit. I thought it was fantastic. He's asking all the right questions, even though he's been thrown in at the deep end. He still hasn't panicked, which I'm quite surprised he hasn't, because could you imagine if Donna or Martha had been thrown in at this deep end, they'd have been screaming out the TARDIS. But the passenger was creepy, and I thought the lighting was superb in this bit. I thought this was really, really good. But again, when it comes to this episode, everything is happening too quickly, and it just needed to slow down. I think when it comes to this episode myself, I would have made it a feature length, rather than, even though, I said during the preview, we're lucky to be getting any Doctor Who at all, because this was filmed during a global pandemic. But personally myself, the amount of information that was shared in this episode alone, I believe this should have been a feature-length episode, or even a build-up of mini-episodes up to the main 45-55 minute episode, just to plug those little bits in. That is what I would have done. But I really did enjoy Dan and Diane in this dark bit being stalked by the passenger. That was brilliant. This is the next bit that's bugging me. What's Williamson got to do with this? The tunnel builder, what was he called? The Mad Mole or something of Liverpool or something he's called. What has he got to do with it? I have watched the entirety of Flux episode 1 straight through to 4 3 times now. He is totally random. He is totally, utterly random. I just don't get it. He's really starting to bother me. And I think it should have been sorted by now. Because we've gone to the Crimea, we've gone, we've been to, obviously in this one we've gone all the way to the Doctor's past, and he's ended up on Atropos during episode 2, and I can honestly say I don't know where Williamson comes in, and it's getting to a point now where it's starting to bug me. He doesn't make any sense. I would like some clarity very, very quickly, because I'm getting quite... we've seen 4 or 5 different sides to him. We've seen quite menacing and forceful in the first episode. A second episode we've seen confused and a little bit dazed. In this episode, he was very crazy. He was running around the tunnels shooting lasers. Was it him that was shooting at Jason John Bishop's character of Dan? He knew what the afterflux of those blue dots were that were taking people out of space and time. I genuinely don't know where he comes into all this. I've got a bad feeling about him, but we'll leave it at there. That's one of the down points. Now, this next bit is one of the bits that I did thoroughly enjoy, and that was 13 in a police uniform complaining about Sasuma's. Give me that all day. I thought Yaz, seeing her potential past or future... See, this is the bit where it gets confusing because there was so much information. We didn't know if this is Yaz's past or Yaz's future. We genuinely don't know. I tried to look at the badges on her shoulder. It's just her numbers. I don't know if she becomes a sergeant or whatever, if it is her future. But to see the Doctor explain things is very, very very, very complicated and very, very heavy in this episode, but it happens so quickly. And this is the problem. Again, I'm trying to explain it, and I'm still having problems now after watching it. God knows, I think it's about 6 times I've watched it. It's got to be. And I'm still having problems understanding some bits. But the thing that got me with this bit is how she's getting stalked by the angels. Why? Why are the angels going after Yaz? Why? What's Yaz done? What is it a potential future thing? What is it? This wasn't really explained. So again, this was a great bit that had a negative bit in it. So again, it's another negative for me. Another bit that bothered me in this was Yaz's sister randomly turning up and playing a video game where they ripped off Resident Evil's text. Just put Edge of Time in there. Just put Edge of Reality game in there. Just don't nick things off Resident Evil. I don't get the whole nimbly fingers thing. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like Yaz's sister in this episode. I thought she was funny in the Arachnid episode. For some reason, I didn't like her in this bit. Even when 13 turned up, there was far too much description of what was going on. How come she turns up as a ghost with Vinda and Dan, but she's whole with Yaz? This bit wasn't explained, and unfortunately, again, this is another down for me because it made me a little bit more confused. Now, the bit I thoroughly enjoyed was the Grand Serpent, and that was Vinda's backstory. Yeah, this was fantastic. The actor from Line of Duty, thoroughly enjoyed him. He's menacing. He's quite clearly corrupt and evil. There was a bit of a political line in here. Chibnall tries to hide it. You could see it. But I did enjoy this bit. And to see how Vinda ended up trying to do the right thing, but necessarily getting the bad thing happen to him, was quite cruel. And again, we haven't really got that much build up with Vinda, and it was nice to build up his character. But by the end of the episode, I think you'll agree, Vinda didn't get much, and he's been told that he's a big thing in this series. I enjoyed his backstory. 13 dangling on a wire was a bit off-putting, but I've got to admit I enjoyed Vinda's backstory, so this was a plus. I'd like to go off on a little bit of a tangent now. We've obviously spoke a little bit about, you know, it being Ruth's final mission for the Division, and this being a prequel to Fugitive of the Jadoon. But if this was her final mission, why did she run in the first place? Was she betrayed? I'm starting to think so. Maybe it'll get explained in the finale, but there are so many storylines to tie up. You know, it's crazy how many things were dropped in this episode. There was Belle, there was Vinda, there was Dan, there was Yaz, there was the Doctor, there was Azure and Swarm, there was the Passenger. Who were the people in the passengers? That wasn't explained. And it was just madness. And I think the pacing is what didn't help things. Again, it really does hurt the episode, the pacing. And to see the Ruth Doctor there, it did help to understand the episode. But I would have liked to have seen maybe in a flashback in this episode of what happened after, to see why she ran. Why did she run? Why did she become Ruth? So yeah, that was one thing I just needed to get off my chest. It's one thing I hope that gets explained in the finale. Hey, this next bit is interesting. I think I've stopped and rewinded the episode a couple of times to try and understand the time versus space that was explained by Swarm. What has that got to do with anything? I'm very, very confused. The last time I checked, the Eye of Harmony was responsible for the principle of time travel when it comes to Time Lords. Is the Eye of Harmony the way they control the Maori? Is that a new thing to adding to the lore? It possibly could be. It's very, very interesting that the little intricacies that they put into this episode, and it was such a mad and fast episode. But seeing such a categoric change, this could be more damaging if not explained properly. Potentially. Because the Timeless Child still hasn't been finished, and Chibnall is throwing everything at the wall, hoping it sticks. That's what it feels like in this episode. He's just gone full on panic mode. After 3 watches, I can honestly say I even sat there with a glass of whiskey and I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But is Tecteun the other? That's another question I've got to ask, because the principle of time travel was made by Omega, and maybe Tecteun or the other, or Razalon himself, didn't want this secret getting out that the Maori were in charge. Obviously, the Division who work for... Do they work for Gallifrey? Again, it's another question. I hope this all gets sorted within the next couple of episodes. But I've seen something, obviously, in the future, because I'm a couple of weeks after the episode, which I will be discussing in a future video, that can explain for this. But at the moment in time that I have on my notes, I was very, very, very confused with this, and it is worth asking these questions. Now, the next bit where the Doctor gets asked for the more memory, like I did earlier, we meet a woman with a straw hat on and what seems to be in the cloisters of Gallifrey. Except this time it's not covered in webs, Daleks and Cybermen and weird cables and angels. It's actually covered in like a purple LED. And as we've seen in the trailers for the series, we obviously go back there because we see an Ood there. Are we meeting Tecteun, the Doctor's mother, or are we meeting the White Guardian? It could even be the Dark Guardian as the White Guardian, and if you've watched any of the 5th Doctor, you will certainly know that. But I can honestly say this intrigued me. This was one of the plus points. I was just like, yes, this is one of the questions I want to ask. Who is Tecteun? Who is the White Guardian? Who is this person? I want to know. And the way she shoved the Doctor off and told her that the Flux was a strategically placed weapon that she caused. This is going to be interesting. Is this what causes 13th regeneration? Is this what's killing the TARDIS because it hasn't been activated or something within the TARDIS? I've got a sneaky suspicion that's what it's going to be. But this was good. This was a good one. This was a good question to ask, and I thoroughly enjoyed this bit. Another thing I'd like to talk about with this episode is how the Doctor is talking to Yaz and Dan. She is so flippant with her companions at the moment. She's snapping with them because she doesn't know who she is, so she obviously doesn't know how to react to things. But I think Yaz is reaching her limit. I really do. I think she's started to reach her limit because this episode, she obviously tried to save her, but again, she snapped at her in this episode towards the end, and she was totally out of control when she came out of the time slot, which is totally understandable. But I don't know how Yaz is going to do or fare in the future, because I think Yaz is losing a lot of trust in the Doctor. It's a great story point and a plot, but it's something that I didn't want to see. I wanted Yaz to have more of a story, but I don't want Yaz to fully feel like she has to leave the TARDIS. You know, obviously we had something similar with Martha, but Martha was obviously in love with the Doctor at the time, and Yaz is trying to be her best mate, and she's not having any of it. She just wants to help, but the secretive nature to the Doctor is not helping things, and poor Dan is stuck in the middle of it. And it was very, very weird to see. Vinda was obviously there also, but he's only just there and he doesn't know her properly. So yeah, this was a very interesting plot point to really point out and look at. So yeah, let's go to the next point. Okay, this next bit, which is quite interesting, is Swarm saying that the time damage is done. It's finished, it's done. The universe is dying, time has been set free long enough, and the universe has been irreparably damaged. The Doctor is a master at lost causes, as she says, and if it is true, this universe is ending, we are heading for a cataclysmic, massive, bombastic finale in the build-up towards the BBC Centenary Special. So let's see where this season takes us, because this is going to get really interesting, and that really did. It did kind of hit home at the confidence of the Swarm, and the way he, was teasing Dan with Diane coming out the passenger. And again, the Doctor snapped with Dan. So this is going to be really, really interesting plot point. And will it be used against her in the future? Let's move on. We find out that Belle has been travelling around looking for Vinda. Her and Tigme were one of the positives of the episode. In my review, I think I gave it 2 points on its own, because they were such heartfelt, lovely little episodes. And then you find out that Tigme is the heart rate monitor and feelings emotion machine of Vinda and Belle's unborn child. On the when she's next to the fire talking to Vinda. The downside of Belle in this episode, I think, was her killing 20 Cybermen with 2 pistols, but it's unrealistic. But they've got to try and build up a hero with Belle, which is cool. Which is a cool thing. You can't not like one thing and then hate another, and hate's a strong word. And I really enjoyed Belle in this episode, and Tigme. They were the pluses in this episode. So yeah, to see this Belle and Vinda story arc. In my notes here, I'm not sure if you can read it, it says, "I've got a bad feeling." Now this is from 2 weeks ago. The bad feeling I've got is Belle and Vinda are the Doctor's parents. If that is, I think I'll have to leave Twitter for a few months, because the people are going to go crazy. There's already a couple of the big channels that are kicking off a stink and being deliberately controversial. He knows who he is. When it comes to this episode, in conclusion, it was utter chaos. It took me a good 4 watches to try and get a gist of what the hell was going on. After 6 watches, I sort of got it. But as you can tell by my review, I'm still a little confused, I'm still a little bit dazed, and this is 2 weeks later after I have watched it again. If you can't get it in one go, it shouldn't have come out. If you don't get it after 2 goes, there's something wrong with the script and the timing. And it's just carried on from there. But it was an info dump of an episode, and I think it's an info dump that the series needed, because there are so many goddamn plot points. And I think my final score is 6 out of 10. And the reason why I gave it 6 out of 10, because I initially was going to give it 4, because I was not happy with it at all. The reason why I got 6 is because of Jodie's assuredness as the fugitive Doctor, and the Belle and Tigme bits. They were the best bits, they really were. I think there could have been a couple of scene swaps. Some scenes could have been a little bit more shorter. There shouldn't have been that much explaining in it. I think there should have been several prologues during the week, like they used to do with series 7 or series 6 or series 5 of the Moffat era. Maybe bring back some prequels to try and get some explanation going. The fans will catch on to it, to the fans that want to watch it. But it was just a flat out confusing episode. And I've got to say, I did enjoy this episode, but there was quite a few things wrong with it. And I think you know which ones I'm going to say. But if you like what I do with the channel, hit that like button. And if you like what I do with the channel, hit that subscribe button. And that's the end of the review. And so I thought I'd tell you a little bit of a personal note. The last 2 weeks I have been suffering from a spout of illness again. I can't seem to shift it. And I filled myself up on painkillers, and I was able to get myself well enough to go and travel to meet the four doctors at Telford Comic Con. I got to meet Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, and the fantastic Paul McGann. I've got to say, I've never been more nervous in my life, and I have never been happier. Also, I met Peter Davison to get an autograph to have my collection box signed. I've bought several figurines. I have had a lovely Doctor Who based Comic Con weekend, and it was thoroughly enjoyable, and it was something that my soul needed. I got to speak to several friends. I sent a picture during the week. If you are on my Twitter, I sent a picture to Char, the lovely Geek Rambles channel. She's lovely. Go and subscribe to her. She's fantastic. She liked my tweet after meeting them. I think I'll try and put the picture here somewhere. But yeah, that's my little reasonings for not being around for the last 2 weeks. I have been unwell, and when you're unwell, you don't have the heart or the determination or the professionalism in you to try and get it out. And if you can't do it properly, don't do it at all. And that's the way it should be. That's the way life should be. If you don't do it at all, you don't do it properly, don't do it at all. And that's the way I am. I could go missing for a few weeks, but I come back. I've still got the drive for this. That's not a problem. I'm not going anywhere. It's just that I'm recovering after a very big weekend and being very ill. So if you've stuck around with the channel, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I'm thoroughly enjoying being back on YouTube. I'm thoroughly enjoying everything to do with YouTube at the moment. Your comments, your discussions, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And you know, there's somebody on here that's been debunking some of my theories. You know who you are. I enjoy the conversation. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, my Twitter will be in the link below. I will also put a link for the Geek Rambles Shah's channel underneath. She's lovely. Go visit her channel. Go and subscribe. She's absolutely lovely. So if you like what I do at the channel, again, like the button. And if you want to subscribe, you can gladly subscribe and follow me. I'm hopefully going to get to 50 subscribers towards the end of the year. That's what I'm aiming for. So yeah, have yourselves a lovely evening, guys. Take care.